Jose Monkey, where are we?
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm Jose Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found. Guys, this one was crazy. Jason and Miranda Chasson from Chasson Smoke sent me this video in December. And when I first looked at it, I was seriously nervous that it would be very, very difficult to find. And I wasn't wrong. This was actually one of the longest searches I've done to date. So what can we see? After a brief introduction, they show me their surroundings. First we see this view of the road, and we can see a low stone wall here and some of the trees and shrubs. I also noted that the road had white lines painted on both the middle and outer lines. As the camera turns, we can't see very much at first except for the rocky soil and some shrubs here. Next we get a view of the road again facing in the opposite direction, and I noted a few things. We can see that the road kind of slopes downward in this direction. There's a left turn at the end of the road here, and we can see a sign warning of the turn that has chevrons pointing to the left. The sign appears to be either black and white or blue and white, I wasn't sure which. We can see a large hill or mountain here with lots of trees on it. And beyond that, we can see a large body of water and what appears to be either islands or a peninsula. Also, we can see that there's either a sunrise or a sunset happening. I wasn't sure which, but that told me that this was either east or west. As the camera turns a bit more, we get this view of the mountains through this clearing in the trees. We can see some buildings at the base of the mountain, and it also looks like there might be water in front of that. That told me that maybe there was like a bay here that was connected to the larger body of water that we just saw. And then we get just a glimpse of what looks like a side road or driveway here. Okay, so I have to admit that I spent the first several minutes just staring at this, trying to figure out where to start. But I decided to just jump in and start piecing together the clues and see if I could figure out where it was. And I was surprised to find that I actually had an idea where it might be. So if you look at this tree here, I'm pretty sure that this is an Aleppo pine tree. Those are also known as Mediterranean pine trees, which tells you where you're likely to find them. They grow mainly in the coastal areas on the Mediterranean Sea that you see highlighted in green on this map. By the way, Wikipedia told me that if I wanted to use that picture, I had to credit it as follows, so I guess pause and read all that. The sign for the turn with the chevrons that is either blue and white or black and white also helps us figure out where this might be. Once again, the most likely candidates seem to be in the Mediterranean. The white lines on the road are also helpful, and I was able to rule out France because France usually has dashed lines on the right shoulder. But the lines that we see here are consistent with places like Spain, Italy, and Greece. But there's one more clue here that helps us. These low stone walls that we see are very common in a specific area of the Mediterranean, and that is in the Balearic Islands off the coast of Spain. Now guys, I know that there are elite GeoGuessr players who would have figured all that out in a matter of seconds. But guys, I don't have all those details memorized, and so I don't mind telling you that it took me several minutes to figure that out, and I had to do a bunch of Googling to confirm. But I wasn't just trying to guess the general area, I wanted to know exactly where they were, so that was going to take a bit more work. But I didn't really have anything else to search for. We just had the natural features that we observe and the road itself. I knew that I should be looking at areas that weren't too far from the coast of those islands, but I mean they're islands, so there's coast all around. I also knew that I could avoid looking at smaller roads that were either not paved or didn't have painted lines. And I could avoid the larger highways that would have multiple lanes going in either direction. I was looking for like medium roads. I started with Majorca, which is the largest of the Balearic Islands. And guys, I didn't have a real strategy here. I was just looking around. I was looking at the coastlines and street view in various different places, just trying to find anything that looked like it matched. And guys, I did that for like 2 hours. At that point, I had to take a break. I was feeling a little overwhelmed and more than a little discouraged. I was afraid that approach was never going to work. So I took a break from this for several days. And when I came back to it, I decided to start with Ibiza instead of Majorca. Ibiza is a popular tourist destination and it's a slightly smaller island, so it felt more manageable to me. But I just started the same process, guys, just looking around. And I gotta tell you, past the point, everything and nothing looked right. And I will fast forward and tell you that I did that for like another 2 hours before I had a breakthrough. I was looking at the Google Street View on some of the coastal roads, trying to get a better view of the nearby islands or peninsulas to see if I could find anything that looked like what I saw in the video. And that's when I spotted this. Guys, I was almost certain that what I was seeing here was the same body of land that we were seeing in the video. That was from a spot on the western side of Ibiza, and it was facing almost directly west, which tracks with the possible sunset happening in the video. None of the other details matched, so I knew it wasn't the right spot, but I knew I was close. And guys, I would love to tell you that I found it very quickly after that, but that is not true. I spent a long time looking at the street view on various different roads in that area, and I was still having trouble finding it. At one point, as I was zooming out just to see which roads had street view available, I noticed that there appeared to be a user-submitted photo from one of the higher places on the island. And when I brought it up, I discovered that it was actually taken from very high up, possibly from like a drone or something. And guys, this photo was a game changer. I could see those islands that I had spotted from the street view, and they definitely looked right. And when I turned to the left, I could also see what looked like the mountains that we see in the video. I was getting close. I tried using that 360 view to look down and look all around to see if I could spot the road I was looking for, but I didn't really see anything obvious. So I looked at those mountains a bit more and tried to compare it to what I saw in the video. And one thing I noticed is that if you look at this hill that's in the foreground, it's a bit too far to the left in the photo that I found on Google. That tells me that we would need to move left to get an angle that matched. In this case, left was east. So I brought up the Google Maps 3D view and just started moving to the left to try to make the mountains match what I saw in the video. Once I had a rough match, I just started moving backwards in a straight line. I figured if I did that, I might eventually hit the road where you got the view that we see in the video. And before too long, I found one. And when I looked at it, I could see that that road appeared to turn to the left, just like the one in the video. So I zoomed in to check out the street view. And guys, that was it. You're on this road in Sant Antoni de Portmany, Ibiza, Spain. I couldn't believe I freaking found it, guys, but here is the view of the mountains that we see in the clearing between the trees. Totally matches the video. The views up and down the street were a little bit hard to match 100%, and that's because the Google Street View photos are very old, they're from 2016, and also the angle isn't exactly the same as what we have in the video. But here's the view of the side of the street where we see the stone wall. And if we look the other direction, we see the upcoming turn, but we can't see the water or the islands. And that's because there were way more trees here about 8 years ago. But I was also able to confirm this view of the trees and shrubs that we see directly across the street from where you were. So I'm fairly confident that that's the right spot.
Let's go!
Okay, it's time to check which previous location was closest to this one. And in this case, it was one of the locations that we found during the January 1st live stream that I did. That location was in Barcelona, Spain, and it was 175 miles or 281 kilometers from this spot. Guys, this one was super hard, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, it was one of the longest searches I've done so far, like over 6.5 hours total. But I found it. If anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that, on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.